Welcome to my YouTube channel Life is Easy with Biology. Let's begin with the first topic that I've dealt yesterday also in my previous video about the sexual reproduction in flowering plant. The events that are involved in sexual reproduction, the three events that I've discussed: pre-fertilization, fertilization and the post-fertilization event. Okay, so in the pre-fertilization event we have studied that gametogenesis takes place, that is formation of gametes, right? So in case of flowering plant, that is angiosperms, the male gametophyte is the pollen grains which forms the male gamete, which carries the male gamete within it, and the female gamete is formed by the egg or the ovule. Fine. So here the pre-fertilization event, the stamen, microsporangium and the pollen grain. See here, the androecium, which is the male reproductive part of the plant, consists of roll of stamens which represents the male reproductive organ. Fine. And this stamen is composed of anther and filament. This stamen is composed of anther and filament. The anther is at the terminal end. The anther is present at the terminal end of the filament. Filament is the long stalk-like structure. See here, you can see long slender stalk-like structure. And the proximal end, okay, the proximal end of the filament is attached to the thalamus or petal of the flower. Fine. Now, in this stamen which is made up of filament and anther, this anther is the fertile part. Why it is called fertile part? Because it is the anther which contributes in the formation of pollen grains. Fine. See, here you can see that there are two lobes. So anther is bilobed structure. Bi means two. Bilobed, since two lobes, one and two, so two lobes, so anther is bilobed structure. Now here you can see what I have done. Each lobe of the anther have two theca. See, these are the theca, triangular shaped structure that I have drawn. These are theca. Theca are actually circular. Okay, but here it is circular. So there are four theca. In one lobe, if you see, there are two theca in one lobe, so anther is also called dithecous in nature. Fine. And since there are four theca in total, and it is the theca which matures to form microsporangium. ये theca ही mature होके क्या बन जाएगा? Microsporangium. और ये microsporangium ही mature होके क्या बन जाएगा? Pollen sac. Fine. I'll deal with this. Wait. So here you can see this much. Now let's move further. When you see transverse section of the young anther, when a transverse section of anther is observed, it is observed that anther has four layers. Okay, it has four layers. The outermost is called epidermis. Inner to this is endothecium. Then is the middle layer. Middle layer is made up of, see, these two red lines which I have drawn, different color you might be seeing. I have drawn two layers here because middle layer consists of 1 to 3 layers. Okay, and then is the innermost layer is the tapetum. All these are made up of cells, student. Okay, all these layers are made up of cells. The innermost is tapetum, and in the central region of each theca you can see that there are these circular small dot like structure I have drawn. These are sporogenous tissue. Fine. These are sporogenous tissue. Now what is this tell me I have written here? This is a mnemonics to remember the layers. T for tapetum, tell. Middle layer M. Okay. Then is endothecium E and epidermis E, outer. From inner to outer, tell me. Now the innermost central region, at the central region of the theca where the sporogenous tissue is present, the cells of the sporogenous tissue, each cell, I'm talking about the each cell, हर एक cell is a potential pollen. मतलब वो pollen बनाने की क्षमता रखता है. Potential, क्षमता रखना. Potential pollen. So they are called pollen mother cell. Each cell is called pollen mother cell. Now see here, I've told you theca matures to form microsporangium. Microsporangium further matures to form pollen sac. Now these three outer layers, epidermis, endothecium and middle layer, these three layers are responsible for protection. Protection of what, student? Protection, it provides protection to the sporogenous tissue. which will further form the pollen grain. Fine. And the function of tapetum is to provide nourishment to the developing pollen grain. Okay, and it also provides Ubish granules that contains sporopollenin. Now sporopollenin, you will come across this term once again during the discussion of pollen grains. Okay, so for now hold it, just understand that tapetum is providing nourishment to the developing pollen grain and also providing Ubish granules that contain sporopollenin. Fine. Then is sporogenous tissue are homogeneous cells, because all the cells are of the same type, same structure. Each cell is a pollen mother cell, and the pollen mother cell undergoes meiosis. Now meiosis is a reductional division. Fine. It is a reductional division where the ploidy of the cell from diploid state is reduced to the haploid state. What I am talking about, this is cell division, students. I will be discussing the cell division in my upcoming videos. So stay connected for that. So here undergoes meiosis to form the microspore tetrad, and each microspore matures to form the pollen grain. Okay. Now this can be understood here. This process of formation of pollen grains from pollen mother cell through meiosis is called microsporogenesis. Again here we come across the word genesis. Genesis का मतलब क्या है? Formation. Microspore क्या है यहाँ पे? Pollen grain. Fine. तो anther develop. Cells of sporogenous tissue undergo meiosis to form microspore tetrad. See, you can see here there are 4 cells, microspore tetrad. All these cells, then the microspore tetrad cells of the microspore tetrad mature, anther, dehiscence, opening of anther take place. Dehiscence का मतलब होता है opening of anther take place, and the microspore matures to form the pollen grain. Fine. Now you see here in microspore there is one layer I have drawn, whereas in pollen grain there are 2 layers I have drawn. Although the outer layer is not continuous and the inner layer is continuous. Okay, the outer layer is called the exine and the inner layer is called the intine. How to remember this? See students, anyone who is from outside is called external person. External, E for external, so outside. Intine, internal, the one who is nearby is internal, so intine. Okay, so we observe here that from one pollen mother cell, how many pollen grains are obtained? 4. Or how many microspores are obtained? 4. Fine. So from one pollen mother cell, 4 pollen grains are observed. And this microsporangium, which we have seen, the theca changing to microsporangium, it forms the pollen sac. Since at the central region of the microsporangium, sporogenous tissues are present which will form pollen grains. So the pollen sac are filled with thousands of pollen grains. Right? We will deal with the pollen grain, the male gametophyte, in my next video. So stay connected. Thank you for watching the video. And if there is any query regarding the topic, do ask me. I will be glad to help you out. Thank you students for watching. If you like the video, do like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.